Yo.
Good, y'all. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the Martymar Show. We in the building, episode 5, man, season 3, man. I'm happy. I'm excited today, man. God has really been moving, man. Before we get started with the show, again, I would like to thank all of my followers, subscribers who follow the Martymar Show. If this is your first time watching, please subscribe. Please like. And this is a Christian podcast where we give an opportunity to highlight those artists, business people, all those people who are in the platform of doing great things in the community. This is the podcast for you. Again, the Martymar Show. So please hit like and subscribe. So today's episode, I'm excited, man. Listen, I got a dope Christian artist, man, all the way on the West Coast, man. And it's crazy. I'm on the East Coast, but I mostly listen to a lot of West Coast artists. I guess that's just my vibe. I don't know, man. But listen, I found him on, or he found me on Instagram. He reached out and I said, okay, let me start listening. And I heard him. I'm like, wow, he could really rap, man. Because listen, there are a lot of people who rap, but they have no lyrics. There's no contents to it. But I really heard what he was saying, and it was really ministering, man. Listen, if you're gonna be a rapper, you got to come with the bars. So the title of today's episode is episode 5 is I Got Bars. So without further ado, let's introduce Nicholas Underwood, straight out of Washington, not Washington D.C., Washington State, the West Coast. What's up, bro? How are you?
Hey, bro, how are you, man? Thank
Good,
you for
good,
having me
man.
on.
Welcome to the show, man. I'm excited to have you on today. Listen, we're gonna have a dope conversation. So can you tell a little bit the people a little bit about yourself?
Yes, sir. Yep, my name's Nicholas Underwood. I go by Nick. I'm 28 years old. I live in Washington State, like you said. Man, I love the Lord. You know,
Amen.
he's just blessed me. He's changed my life. He's given me new life. You know, I'm married. My wife and we've been married for 6 years. We've got two beautiful children. I've got a 3-year-old
Ooh.
son and a 2-year-old daughter. So it's fun, man. It's a life's an adventure, and we're doing this music thing. You know, we're making it happen. So
That's dope. And does your wife rap too or sing?
yes, she sings. Yep,
Okay.
she does more of like a worship, lo-fi type music. It's very unique. You know, I would say it's hard to kind of put her in a genre almost. She's in a very like subgenre right now. Yep.
And we were talking a little bit before the podcast started, y'all, about Washington State, right? Because let's be real, Washington is a pretty big state, but most people, when you think of Washington, you think you're talking about DC. But can you kind of tell the people a little bit about Washington, especially with the 3-on-3 basketball tournament? I thought that was just interesting.
Yeah, yep. So I'm on the east side of Washington. A lot of people think of Seattle when they think of Washington State. They think of rain, right? Like green everywhere. And we definitely have green a lot over here, but it's not the same. Like we have on the when you cross the mountains, because we're 4 hours from Seattle, we're in a city called Spokane. That's when you kind of hit more of the evergreens. It's a little bit more dry over here, and we have the 4 seasons. So like right now, we're covered in snow. Soon, you know, we'll have spring, and we get beautiful springs where everything blossoms, and we do get a lot of rain in the spring. But then we get like hot summers, like up to 108 degrees, and then really beautiful falls. You know, all the leaves change color. So we get the 4 seasons and really harsh. And then yeah, we were talking. You asked me, you know, what kind of events we do here because we're the second largest city in Washington State. We actually have a world-renowned basketball tournament here. It's the world's largest 3-on-3 basketball tournament. It's called Hoop Fest. We do it every year. Actually, 2 years ago, LeBron James showed up. ESPN shows up. We shut down all our streets, and they put up something like 400 basketball hoops. My wife and we've played in it probably about 5 or 6 times. My wife is a baller, dude. She's way better than me. Like she
What?
she probably could have played college ball. Like I'm just big. Like I'm 6 foot. I'm like 205 pounds. I just
Yeah.
stand in the post, you know, and I'll like pass it to me, and I'll fight my way through. But she's like a shooter. She'll shoot right in your face.
Wow.
So
So
yes, sir.
do y'all ball against each other?
Oh yeah. We got the basketball hoop in the driveway, And once we put the kids down, around like 7 or 8, and in the summertime, yeah, we'll definitely go shoot hoops. So
So what's the score right now? Who's up? Have you one more or she has one more? Be honest, because she's gonna see.
man, she's really good, man. We get super competitive. Like there's been times where elbows have been thrown, or like people go on the ground. Like you're married, right? I'm sure you
Yeah,
understand. Like sometimes it's like it's on sometimes. So
nah, that's dope. That's dope. So how did you become a Christian, man? Like how did that come about?
yeah, I love that question. I grew up a Christian for the most part. However, when looking back on it, I wouldn't say I was really a Christian. I grew up. Yeah, I have a very long story, and I'll condense it down. I was adopted at the age of 3.
Wow.
Um, and the first 3 years of my life, like statistically, I should not be alive. Like, there's no way.
Mm,
My biological mom. I was born in California actually, and my biological mom was on the run with me for 3 years. Basically, she was homeless,
mm,
schizophrenic, bipolar. She lost me. CPS took me away from her at
mm.
one point because she would be walking down the road and I was wandering off into, like, someone said, they look at the reports, I was wandering off into traffic, and
Wow.
somebody saved my life. Someone grabbed me and said, "Hey, your son, you're not even paying attention." She was like 10, 15 feet ahead of me, just with headphones on, not paying attention to me.
Right.
And
Mm,
she cussed him out, screamed out, because she was kind of on drugs and losing it. And
yeah.
they called the cops. They took me away, and then she came in on a visit, like I think 3 or 4 months later. Foster care system in California. She took off with me. She, like, when no one was looking, she grabbed me, and I
Mm,
guess she went to Hawaii with me somehow. She like got me out. Uh, she went to Alaska. She would just move all
wow.
over, and so I guess we were in Alaska. It was freezing cold temperatures, and she was hitchhiking with me, and I didn't have appropriate clothing on even. And this truck driver picked us up, and he was discerning, thank the Lord,
Mm,
and he was like, "This is messed up." And so he took us. He called the cops somehow, or somehow he got us to a police station, and they took me away for good. I
mm,
was in the foster care system for like 3 or 4 months, and then my grandma at the time, my mom's mom, was on her deathbed, and she was a praying woman.
mm,
She reached out to my cousin who lives out here in Washington State. He's in the military,
mm,
loves the Lord. And at the time, I think he was like 27, 28 years old,
okay.
which is a trip because that's how old I am now.
Yeah.
And she said, "Hey," on her deathbed, she said, "Hey, please come and get Nick. Please give him a place to live. Please, please, please." And he had a son and daughter already, so he came and got me, man. He gave me a life,
Mm,
and I grew up. It was
mm,
hard for me. I think the first 3 to 5 years living with them because I was very socially awkward from what my parents told me. Like I had a hard time socially
mm.
interacting because I was messed up. You know what I mean? Like that's not a normal life for a 1 to 3 year old, like at all.
Yeah.
Um, so, anyways, fast forward, I grew up going to a Baptist church, and my only perspective of God really was like heaven or hell. you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
like I
Mhm,
didn't have in the Baptist church, and if people are listening to Baptist, I know not all Baptist churches are like this, and so let me be careful in saying this because there's still people in that church who love the Lord. I know they love the Lord, so I'm not condemning anybody. But in the
mm,
Baptist church, there's a very staunch way of doing things at times,
mhm,
and
mhm,
I also believe that they, in a lot of ways, in the teachings, don't teach you how to talk to God, how to hear from God. It's kind of like Father, Son, Holy Bible. I don't know if you've ever heard that expression before, where
mm,
it's not like the Holy Spirit is not discussed very often. It's an interesting dynamic,
mhm,
and so it's more academic. So, anyways, I grew up in that, and I was, by middle school, I was already experimenting with drugs. I remember in middle school, I was like taking hydrocodone from my friends. They had it, like
mhm,
I started smoking cigarettes, and like even all through high school, I was experimenting. I was getting drunk, like with my friends, and like living this double life. I'd go home, and my parents had no idea what I was doing. And when I moved out, like at 18. I moved right out at 18 because my dad, being he's the loving man and gave me a wonderful life. I'm not going to deny that, but
Mhm.
he basically gave me some options. He was military, so he said you could join the military or you could go to college, but if you're not going to do those things, like, you got to move out. And I didn't want to do either one of those, so I
Yeah.
moved out. And I had a crazy couple years, man. I just partied so hard, like, I felt
Mhm.
so far away from God, like, and it was 2014. I remember being in my apartment at the time, um, and it had probably been 2 years since I moved out, but I didn't even recognize who I was anymore. I was smoking every day. I was high every day. Um, I was just reliant on partying. I was addicted to pornography, like, and I was with multiple women too. And the thing
Mhm.
is, like, my life was so empty. My life was just terribly empty. I had no purpose. I had no meaning, and I knew that. And I was depressed, and I'm not a depressed kind of person. Normally, I'm very optimistic. So it just it broke me, and I listened to a lot of rap music growing up, but I
Mhm.
also listened to a lot of hardcore music, like screaming music. I was always
Mhm.
into that. I go to the concerts,
Like Slipknot?
and no,
Oh,
like, man, there's a band called For Today. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
no.
They scream. I mean, it is just like screaming. And I used to love that music for the gym and stuff. It was just energetic music. But
Yeah.
they were a gospel group. It was interesting. They would go to these. I would go to their shows even in the midst of my debauchery, and they would preach the gospel at these shows in power, bro, in
Mm.
power in these dark places. And it would always speak to me. I would be like, I came from that. I don't know it anymore, but I came from that. And one time, I heard a message somehow on my phone about the cross, about Jesus. And I didn't even, I didn't even know if I believed in Jesus anymore. That was what was the weird thing. I grew up my whole life believing in Jesus, and all of a sudden I found myself questioning what's even real.
Right.
And I just, I got down on my knees in my apartment and I said, Jesus, I don't know if you're real, but I need help. Like, I'm so broken. And dude, it was like someone opened the windows to my apartment and wind came through, and I got blasted and I just started
Mhm.
to weep. Uh, and I believe that was the moment, Jesus entered my heart again. And I
Mm.
started going back to church. Very quickly, I lost all my old friends. I
Mhm.
pretty much felt alone for like 2 or 3 months.
Mhm.
And all I had was these. I went back to the Baptist church. All I had were these older Baptist church friends. They were like in their 60s and 70s, And out of nowhere, man, God sent um, a believer my age with my same story. Like, one day I show up to the Sunday school, they call it, or
Mhm.
young adults class, and there's this guy. He's like 5'3". He's black. He's athletic, and his name was Khalil. And I'm just like, hey, what's up, man? And he's a part of the class. And then after I talked to him, it turns out the Lord literally did the same thing that he did to me, to him. He was a D1 level wrestler over in Maine,
Okay.
and he was partying. He was living a crazy life. He turned away from the Lord, and one day he knew he had to give it all up. He like knew he was lost, so he cried out to the Lord, and the Lord did the same thing to him,
Mhm.
encountered him, and he drove all the way out to Washington State from Maine because he wanted to get as far away from Maine as possible. And his dad used to be military, like my dad. So there's a base near the church that we went to,
Right.
and that's why he came to this church. So all of a sudden, I have a brother in the Lord who's literally in the same season of life. Like, you can't
Yeah.
make that up, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're like, so it was like iron sharpens iron. We're lifting weights together. We're hanging out. Like, he's pretty much my only friend, and we grew together like tremendously, man. We ended up going on a mission trip to China together. We saw miracles. We saw God
Wow.
move. And then as I grew in the Lord over the next couple of years, I ended up leaving the Baptist church. God released me from there. I ended up going to like a non-denominational church for a while, but
Mhm.
it's been like 10 years now, and I have had many iterations or levels or seasons in
Mhm.
the Lord, but it's always like a growth. It's always, I just, like Paul was taught by the Spirit in the desert,
Mhm.
and I'm encouraged because I wouldn't say, like we can't hit a ceiling, or we can't stop in our growth in the Lord. We got to continue. And I'm encouraged because I would presume to like almost know, even though I've been a Christian for 10 years, I don't assume that I know hardly, like, not everything, but hardly
Mhm.
anything. I'm still learning consistently in the Spirit. So that's
Yeah.
my long answer for you, man.
No, man. First, I want to say thank you for sharing that, man. Listen, this podcast specifically, this is what people need to hear, like the truth. I thank you for your transparency and be honest, right? Like most people have like, are afraid to like share like how they got saved or some of their struggles. And look, that's how, the Bible talks about we're overcome by the testimony. So like if I'm hearing your story, I understand like whatever I'm going through, you can get through this. So as people are watching, and once you see guys see this episode, understand like this thing ain't easy, man. Like people where they are not where they used to be. Trust me. Like people have been through some things. So I just thank you for being transparent and real, man. Like that's crazy. But like, so what are your goals for ministry, man? Like now that you're in your season of like you said, you're constantly growing and learning. Like, what are your goals for ministry?
Yeah, man. It's an interesting question. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had a hard time answering this one. Like I had a because I've been my it's in my wife and I have a hard time making plans. Like we can make plans for the year, like a trip or something like that, but
Mhm.
it seems like God will hardly even show me tomorrow sometimes. I don't know what it is, man. I could set goals, I could write it down, but it's I've been learning as I walk in the Lord, as I grow in the Lord, that like this is a day by day experience with the Lord. And I know that a lot of people, they quantify ministry, or they quantify, like, they project what they're gonna do this next year, right? And I'm not, go ahead, you know what I'm saying? I'm not
Yeah.
telling them not to do that. But for me personally, God has told me time and time again, when I try and look too far ahead, he brings me back, and he just says, he reminds me of that scripture that says, don't go to this city and say, I'm going to make a profit, right? When you don't
Mhm.
even know if you're promised tomorrow. And
Right.
so, like, so to give you an answer though, when it comes to ministry, I'm taking this one day at a time, and I'm asking the Father, like, what's the move today? I basically I start the day, I just say, Father, like, how can I serve you? What's my kingdom purpose today? What would you like me to do? And sometimes he'll give me an idea, like, I'm going to do this video tomorrow or the next day, but I'm
Right.
just taking it one day at a time, man. And I just need to be faithful and steward even just a little bit of following I have now, and the music and the abilities and the gifts. And that's my goal for ministry right now, man, is to stay consistent. I would say stay consistent. I'm staying consistent, posting content. I'm trying to stay consistent making music. And I told the Lord, you know what, because, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, but he's the one who put me back into making rap.
Mhm.
And I have a crazy testimony of how that happened. But basically, I told the Lord, okay, God, I will give it all I've got this next year. I will stay consistent. I will make music. I'll continue to make content. And so my goal is to go hard for the next year.
Nah.
Yeah.
Hey, man, it's funny, man, because I was reading this confirmation. I was reading right now. I'm in the book of Zechariah, and I was reading Zechariah 4, and it was talking about um how the angel was saying to him, don't despise small beginnings. Don't despise
Mm,
that. And I'm like, right, like don't forget, like, yeah, you can have these large platforms and all that, but like what was your purpose behind it? Remember like why you're here. Like be humble with what you have, and like and like you said, steward over it. Like sometimes I think we feel like, oh, I only got 5 people following me. But those 5 people, you can make a greater impact versus you maybe have a million following you and nobody's really listening to you. You know what I mean? To the visual, the natural eye, it's like, oh yeah, you got a million followers, but spiritually, are you really honestly reaching these people? So I thank you for really sharing that, man. 'Cause I try to stay
mm,
humble, man. Like, don't let this stuff go to you. You know what I mean? It's about purpose and
amen.
impact, you know?
Yeah. Amen.
So,
Yeah. Amen.
So what you were saying, you kind of went already into the next question, but like, so how did you get into rapping? I'm interested in hearing that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yes, sir. So I was always musically inclined.
Mhm.
So I actually played like saxophone all through high school, man.
Okay.
I played for 8 years. I played the saxophone, but my obsession has always been music. Like I remember getting on the school bus with a Walkman. You remember the Walkman with the
Yep.
CDs?
Yep.
And I had how old are you,
I'm
by the way?
33.
Yeah, okay, so you can relate to this.
Yep. Yeah.
I had I had a little book that I had in my bag full of CDs, and I would get
Hmm.
on the bus. And my favorite thing to do, I had an hour bus ride to school every morning. My favorite thing to do would be just to. I actually love that bus ride because I would listen to so much music
Hmm.
every day on the way to school and on the way back from school. And it was my favorite part of the day. And I found all kinds of genres and all kinds of music, but I loved rap, man. And I actually remember as far back as being like 7 years old,
Hmm.
listening to Jesus Freak by Toby Mac. Man, like, I don't know if you ever listen to Toby Mac, but
Some of the newer stuff, I didn't know. You're definitely not the older stuff.
no, he was with a band called at the time DC Talk, and
Okay.
that was like, what's that lead singer of the Newsboys? I forget his name, but he was on there too. They
Okay.
made some good music, and then I remember my first actual rap CD I got for Christmas one year. It was Holy Culture. I don't know if you ever listened to Holy Culture. They're like OG.
Mm-mm.
Um, they were called the Cross Movement,
Okay,
and
I
so
heard. Okay, yeah, I heard people talk
yeah,
about them. Okay.
yeah. So I would play that on repeat, and I started like writing my own raps even as like a 11-year-old, 12-year-old. And I remember I even did some talent shows in like high school rapping, and got some good reactions, man. People thought it was
Wow.
awesome, like I remember one talent show was at like a one of the church I was going to at the time, like the winter camp,
Hmm.
and I did it a cappella, and it was just like a really fast rap for like a minute straight, and like everybody lost it, like it was like deafening, it was awesome. I just remember that moment, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so I was doing that, and then what really propelled me though into music was after high school. I remember in the midst of my like getting high all the time, I had a friend who would come over and we would smoke. And he's the one who this was before weed was legal, by the way. Like here, weed is legal, right? So it's it's crazy, that everybody, like, there's so many people who just like smoke here casually, like you just walk around,
Yeah.
it smells like weed sometimes. But at that time, it was super hush hush still. So like my friend was also my dealer at the time, and he would come over, and we would just smoke all night pretty much. And he had a MacBook, and he had Logic, and he
I know
would,
Logic is, yeah.
yeah, he would make raps, and I was like, I want to try that. So I started writing, and it was fun, man. Like I was like, this is awesome. I was instantly jealous of his setup, and all he had was like a little MacBook with Logic and a little USB mic, and I was
Mhm.
jealous. I was like, I want to make music like that. That's awesome. So it propelled me to start writing, um, and then when I got saved, uh, big part of my testimony actually is that I switched all my secular music over to
Yeah.
Christian music, and so I found Lecrae right away. I had never even really listened to Lecrae. I found Tadashi. I found Annie Manio. I found Tripoli,
Mhm.
and I loved it immediately, man. And it was such a blessing to find good music at the time, that was edifying the Lord. And so immediately, I remember it was like 2000, yeah, 2014, 2015. I sold my truck that I had. I had a truck. I
Mhm.
sold my truck, and I bought a laptop. I bought a MacBook, and I bought Logic as well, and I bought some music equipment. So this is the same laptop from 2014, 2015,
MacBook Air.
and the MacBook Air. Yep.
Got the same one.
Yes,
That's what
sir.
I'm on now.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, and I've got my Logic Pro on there, but like I just started learning as much as I could, and it was funny because I didn't have anyone around me who listened to rap. So when I transitioned out of the church I was going to at the time, and I went into more of like a non-denominational church, I started connecting with some guy. It was a big church with like 1,000 people. I started connecting with some guys there who love rap music. One of my best friends, his name is Nick Kuiper, and so his name is Nick as well, Nick and Nick. He came over one day, and I had made like 3 or 4 songs, and he came over with his friend Anthony Rice. They call him A Rice, and I was showing him my music, and it was funny. I remember to this day looking at my friend A Rice's face as he listened to some of these songs, and he was trying to be polite, but he was kind of looking on the ground, like because it wasn't good, like it was trash, and I had, but I had no. I think you need people around you to tell you what's good, what's bad. You can't have
Mhm,
like yes men around you. You need people around you who are
mhm.
going to be
Be real.
honest, and that was
Mhm,
that was an honest moment. Like, and hanging out with them, I started finding out what's good, how to get good flows, right? Like what sounds good. They started showing me music and kind of building that out. And so basically though what happened was my wife and I, we got married in 2016, and I would make music off and on, but I never released it. I never built a page. I would just kind of show family and friends. And the music was definitely getting better, but I was also very like, I don't know why, I was just very discouraged about it. I would get kind of overwhelmed by the idea for some reason. I
mhm,
would never feel like I could fully embrace it or take off
mhm,
or commit to it for some reason. Um, and basically, I quit music almost altogether in like, I would say probably like 2020. I just quit. I was just like, no, like, I don't know. I just was stepped away from it all. I just thought maybe it's just not for me. And then something happened last year that was really crazy. Um, basically, I'm lifting weights in my garage. I've got like a squat rack.
mhm,
And I'm listening on Spotify, looking for new artists, and I found this artist named Rob B. I don't know if you've ever listened to Rob B.
mhm,
RAW-B. He's doing pretty well. He's a Christian rap artist. I think right now he's switching more over. Like if you go listen to him right now, most of his new stuff is a little more secular, I think.
mhm,
But at the time, it was all Christian, and I instantly liked his sound. Like he super just like vibey and crisp and nice. I loved it. So he became one of my favorite artists. This was last year, and I listened to him. When I find a new artist or something that I like, I'll just put it on repeat, man.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Same here.
and and basically, I'm chilling with my best friend Nick, and him and his wife actually they come over for game night, and I'm like, yo, you gotta listen to this. So I put it on the JBL speaker, right? He's like, dang, who's this? And I was like, this is Rob B. He goes, and mind you, so Rob B is pretty successful, man. He did a lot of music with Zahill, and they didn't just do like they were friends. They hung out, and
Mhm.
he's got like 600,000 streams on some of his songs, 700,000
Wow.
streams on some of his songs. He's doing very
Mhm.
well. He's been on tours, and he's my friend's like, "Who's this?" I'm like, "This is Robbie, man." He goes, "Oh," he's like, "Yeah, I know who Robbie is." My friend Nick does real estate, and his mentor's name is Zach. He goes, Zach is actually talking to Robbie. Um, they're messaging online. They have been for like the last month. I was like, why? Uh, and he said, I don't know why, but I think Robbie might move to Spokane and do some real estate here.
Wow.
I was like, what? Because Robbie lives in Georgia,
Okay.
and I'm like, that's crazy. Are you serious? So lo and behold, like 3 months later, 4 months later, my friend Nick is posting pictures with Robbie.
Crazy.
He's here. He's in town here, right? And then before you know it, I didn't set any of this up. Before you know it, Nick is like, "Hey, can we invite Robbie and his wife over for game night?" I'm like, "Of course." So he comes over, super cool guy, just down to earth, and we're talking about music and bro, I'm sitting here talking to this guy. I just found his music like this year and loved it. You
Right.
know, what are the odds he'd be sitting in my living room? Like you
Yeah.
can't, you can't make that up. And not only that, but he was super encouraged to help me with my music all of a sudden. He's like, I can record, he's got great presets, he's got great mastering ability, like he's doing
Mhm.
really well. He does all his own stuff. So, bro, he basically gave my wife and I a phenomenal rate, like per hour. I
Mhm.
won't even tell you because it'll make so many people like jealous, and they might start reaching out to him. So I'm not gonna do that. But let's just say he charged us next to nothing to come over and record. And so that song, I've got two songs on Spotify right now, Spells, and I've got another song, Demon Killer. Those were recorded at his studio, and he just has that. He's got a good sound, man. He's got it dialed in. He's been doing it for a long time. But basically, when I saw all this happen, I was like, you know what, man, this is a miracle. Like I knew right away. I said, there's no way, man, that this artist who's very successful, who knows the game, knows what to do, knows the production, knows all that. I don't know those things, would be in my life all of a sudden. And
Right.
I took it as a sign from the Lord, like the Lord wants me to make music. The Lord wants me to do this, take it serious. So basically, from then on, I created my Instagram page. I started growing pretty quickly. I think in like a couple months, I went from zero to like 1,200, 1,300 followers, and then just the the Lord. This has been way more about ministry than it has even been my music. Like the connections I've been able to make, the people I've been able to talk to, the things I've learned. I'm like starting to produce my own music now. It's just like happening all so fast, and I'm just so encouraged. Like I just really see that the spirit's behind this, and the spirit is encouraging me in this. So that's my long answer for your question about how I got into rapping, man.
No, that's that man. Listen, that's a crazy story, man. Like somebody who you just found to then now help you launch pretty much your career. Like somebody, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't gonna lie, that's a lot of people's dream, right? Especially like there's somebody who you look up to, and then bam, there's right there. You know what I mean? That's like somebody who you love basketball, bam, LeBron, MJ, you know what I mean? Like you're right here, you know what I mean? Like in my
That's
house,
crazy, right?
you know what I mean? And then to be willing to be that humble, right? Because that's the key. I think a lot of people, especially when you really like look up to somebody or enjoy their work and you meet them, and let's just say he didn't have that character, you know what I mean? You probably wouldn't be walking where you at now. So thank God, he had the heart to be like, oh, I got you, bro. You know what I mean? Like, let's get this done.
Oh, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna shout out to Robbie real quick. A lot of people don't understand
Robbie.
him. A lot of people don't understand him. I think because he's definitely like I would say he's crossing over into secular music. He's using more language in his music now, and but I also just spending time with this guy. He's real. He's like one of the realest people I've met. Um, and it's interesting how, there's a lot of keyboard warriors. There's a lot
Hmm.
of people who have a lot of things to say, but they don't actually sit down with these people in person and talk to them. I got to hear Robbie's story. I got to
Hmm.
hear certain things, and um, like I'm not trying to elevate myself here. I'm just saying I'm seeing Robbie's heart, man. And yeah,
Right.
like you said, for him to take me under his wing, encourage me,
Hmm.
bless me, he doesn't have to do any of that. And
Right.
he is. And so it gave me a lot of perspective on when I'm quick to judge or when I'm harsh on Christian artists who seem to be maybe crossing over into the secular. We kind of throw them to the wolves, or the Christian rap community kind of says, they're going to hell or crazy things like that. And we don't know that. Like, we don't
Yeah.
know where they're at. We don't know their hearts.
Right.
And so it gave me a lot of understanding, you know?
No, I can appreciate that and I respect that. Let me ask you this. Your top five Christian artists right now, who are you listening to? You got a
Dang,
top five?
bro. I can give you some. Yeah. I could try for five. Let me think about it for a minute. So, It always is evolving. It's always changing, because I use that Spotify app and I get on the things that I like. I really like Caleb Gordon right now.
Yep.
I play a
Yep.
lot of Caleb Gordon.
Shout out to
Um,
Caleb.
yep, he's just talented, man. He's crisp. He's simple. He's himself. I really appreciate that,
Mhm.
and he's real. And then of course, you can't have Caleb Gordon without Alex Jean. So
Yeah, fire.
I like Alex Jean a lot. I love what they're doing. They're just taking off, man, and they're taking it over by storm. But their hearts are good. Their hearts
Mhm.
are good. I've been watching some interviews with them. Like I just watched their interview with them with Ruslan,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
I was just impressed with some of the things that Caleb said were really bold, man. He
Mhm.
said, he said, I'm not gonna like if he was asked the question, he was asked the question, hey, if Chance the Rapper hit you up, would you do a
Mhm.
verse with him? He's like, no. And to me, that was bold, bro. That
Yeah.
was really bold because a lot of Christian rappers, they would say, of course I would, because I could get him saved and all this stuff. But I actually lean more on the side with Caleb where he said, this is not my genre. Like, I respect his craft. I respect that he's an artist, but, you know, I'm a Christian artist. He's not a Christian artist. It doesn't make sense. It's not compatible for us to do music together. And I agree
Yeah.
with that, man. We have to
Yeah.
set we got to be protected and we got to set a standard. And so I was impressed that he said that. So Alex Jean, Caleb Gordon. I just found, my wife just showed me this guy. He's not even a rapper, but Sunday. I don't know if you've listened to Sunday.
Mm-mm.
Ooh, you got to go listen to Sunday, man.
Okay.
This guy worships the Lord. Like with you can tell he's singing just so effortlessly. But he's got this beautiful voice. He hits these runs, and you're just like, man, you just kind of get melted. Beautiful voice. So he's there too. I actually really like this is an interesting story. Have you ever listened to Forest or Surfaces?
Mm-mm.
Like, have you heard that song Sunday Best? They're like really popular at mainstream. They're mainstream right now.
Mm-mm.
They
I don't think I
they're
have.
cr- they're crushing it, right? And I always felt so it's just two guys, one producer and one singer. Um, And the singer also has another Spotify account with his own independent music called Forest. I've always listened to it's very like positive vibes music.
Mhm.
And I've always listened to his music and thought, man, this guy's got to be a believer, bro. There's no way this guy's not a believer. Like the things he's talking about, but you wouldn't know that because he doesn't. It's not blatantly Christian music.
Yeah.
And then, bro, just a month ago, he came out with a song with Hovey
Oh wow.
out the blue. And this guy, bro, is mainstream. I mean, something like 7 million monthly listeners. I'd have to go look. I
Wow.
mean, they're crushing it. And he did a song with Hovey, and I thought that was profound. That's a statement to do
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
So I like them. Forest Surfaces. You can just shuffle all their music in any scene, and it's super chill. It's like so yeah, you got to go listen to them. So that's four artists I got so far. I'm trying to think, man. I, yeah, it's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'm always just like I said, I'm always circulating. I actually have been listening to there's a song by Zay Hill has. It's called
Mhm.
Never Change. I just kind of have that one on repeat right now. I don't know if you
Mhm.
listen to that one. It's on his page. It's called Never Change, and it's like there's just something about the way he sang on that and the bass. I
Mhm.
just put it on repeat, man. So
That's a good playlist, man. I definitely been listening to Caleb Gordon, and I found Alex Jean actually. Somebody had sent me the song Right Over Wrong. I was DJing this event, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And then honestly, I'm gonna be real. I deleted it. I was like, okay, they sent me the song. They just wanted me to play at the event. All right, cool. And then I started getting on TikTok a little bit, and I'm like, who is this dude? And I started listening. I'm like, oh, he fired. Like, okay. So I downloaded.
yeah.
Anyway, Alex J, my bad. I should have just rode the wave the first time, but sometimes that's how it is. But but that's a dope five. So let me ask you this: like, what's your process for developing your lyrics? If you don't mind sharing.
Yeah. No, I don't mind. So I'm not a producer. I don't make my own beats right now. Um, I have made some beats, but that's just not a process I'm trying to crack into. I'm trying to focus on writing. I'm trying to focus on rapping. And eventually, I'd like to get to that level. So what I do is I use BeatStars. I don't know if you use
Mm-hmm.
BeatStars. I love
Yep.
BeatStars, man.
Yep.
And I just shuffle and I just look and listen. And
Mm-hmm.
the beat, usually I can literally listen to beats and they have no effect on me. I'm like, I'm not really interested in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll move to the next one and move to the and it could be sometimes like 10, 12, 13 beats, and then I'll hear one and you hear a beat and you just like
Mm-hmm.
make
That's
that face.
that's it.
You were like, I'm like, this, I gotta write to this right now.
Yeah.
So that's that when I'm ready to write, I just start turning on beats and I shuffle, and I find that one. And I make sure that I can download it for free. I know that sounds weird, but there's on BeatStars, you can buy every beat, obviously, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of artists let you download the MP3 for free with their tag on it. You just
Mm-hmm.
can't monetize it or sell it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I download it for free. I make sure it's downloadable for free so that I can turn around and make a reel off of it. Because technically,
Right.
I'm not selling it. I'm just
Yeah.
making a quick freestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I do is I just start, man. I listen to the beat and I just sit there and think. And man, I don't know. This is a hard question because
Mm-hmm.
when you're in the zone, you're in the zone. So I just
Yeah.
like once I hear the beat, I'll just start saying different words. Like I a lot of times if I have no inspiration, so my old friend taught me, look, what's the title of the beat? What's the name of the beat? So
Mm-hmm.
I'll look at the name of the beat and I'll circle it around. What's the name of that beat? And I'll come up with a topic. But I'll just start riding, like listen to the flow of the beat, and I'll just start rapping, man. And I'll freestyle a little bit. So I'll just start freestyling, and if I like what I said, I'll write it down, and then I'll go off. If once I get one line down, I can start going,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll try and keep a flow for like 4 or 5 bars, and then I'll switch the flow. I like to do like 4 or 5 different flows per song. It just depends. But basically, I just start writing it out, and one thing I do, I think that's really helpful, is I always restart the song. It's a lot of work, but I
Yeah.
restart the song when
Yeah.
I go like one bar at a time. I'll rap until that bar I haven't written, and then I'll. It's weird when you rap through. All of a sudden, you'll get a line in your head,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll write that line down. So sometimes I'll go line by line by line, and it takes a long time, but I think it's my creative process.
And thank you
So,
for dropping the nuggets, man. Listen, so what he was saying, if you are aspiring artists, you got to have some content, right? And that's a dope idea. Just take the beat, right? And again, he's not selling it or trying to get streams off of it. It's just to build that content to get people to see, what you're doing, to keep you relevant. You know what I mean? But I think also the real idea is really good too, because it helps you to stay on top of your game, right? If I'm constantly, you know, staying focused, I'm staying in, like you said, your zone, I'm good. You know what I mean? It's just like, as a basketball player, if you ain't been on the court in a while, you're gonna get a little rusty. It's the same thing. Like you constantly, getting your bars up, you're going to the next level. So I appreciate
well,
you.
and yeah, and I would say real quick, like,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. Like the beautiful thing is now, if you go and look at my Instagram, I have a portfolio of songs to choose from that I haven't completed yet. So while I'm waiting, basically, I've been waiting to build my home studio, and I'll still probably go to Rob B here for some songs, but I've been waiting to build my home studio, and it's been a wait. So I have had like a month where I couldn't release any new music. Basically, in that month, I still want to keep my fans engaged. I still want to grow this process. I want to show people I'm still rapping. So
Mhm.
I do like a ball. I do like 16 bars and a hook, and then I put it to the music. I don't go too crazy in mixing and mastering it. Just get it to where it's Instagram quality, and then I
Mhm.
do a video of me rapping it, whether it's like on my mic or whether it's without my mic,
Mhm.
and then I use CapCut and I put the lyrics on there. And the beautiful thing is now I can go back. I saved the beat on BeatStars, by the way. You can press the heart button. I go back and now I've got like 10, 12 different reels of these freestyles where I can turn these into live songs now. I can go
Right.
back and mix and master all of these and finish write another 16, finish the songs. So it's nice. I like it.
So one of the last questions that I really wanted to ask you, what advice do you have for creatives who want to be involved in music, right? Like what would you say to somebody who's aspiring to be a Christian artist? whether it's rap, whatever. Just like what would you say?
And I would say don't care about what people think about you. I really like struggled with that for a long time. It held me back for years and years and years. Um, I struggle with insecurity. I'm different, man. Like I would say, like, and not I'm not boasting that I'm different. I'm saying like I'm different in the terms that I don't fit the genre super well. Um, you know, and I have a different sound, and so I would get discouraged because I would think that people don't want to listen to me and think that I'm cheesy or corny. So those voices stopped me for many, many years. And what I found out is don't go to your don't go to your immediate family with your
Mhm.
music right away. That's what I would say. Maybe you can if you want to, but for me personally, don't go to your immediate family. Don't go to your friends groups, right? Unless they really like rap. If they're not like into that at all, don't go to them because it'd be like it'd be like trying to show somebody something they're not even interested in or that they have no concept of, you
Right.
know, and it
Mhm.
could get you hurt, it could get you discouraged. So I'm finding like, hey, here's a platform, Instagram or TikTok, right? We can I can find the people out there who want to listen to this genre, who want to listen to this. And that's what I did. And now I'm finding, man, there's great response, you know, I'm getting lots of love and people actually want to listen to this. And it has encouraged me to do this more than it ever has.
Wow.
So
Thank you for sharing that, man. So listen, this has been a dope interview, man. You dropped a lot of nuggets, man. Just it's really good, man. It was a pleasure to definitely talk with you, hear your story, and how you got to where you got, man. Honestly, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, obviously I didn't really know you before this, and I'm listening, like, it's crazy. You it's not that you think somebody just got there overnight, but just hearing it again, time and time again about the process, right? Going through different things to then get to the next level. It's humbling, man. So with that being said, as we close out, man, before we close out, like what do you got coming up next? Projects, social media, how can people listen to your music? This is your time, man.
yeah, man, yeah. Follow me on Instagram, Nicholas Underwood music. And you know, I've got my Spotify up there too. Like you can find the link in my bio on Instagram. But I only have two songs out on Spotify right now, but I'm just released to start mixing and mastering my own music. And so it's coming. I got this song that's about to come out with a friend of mine. He's in North Carolina. I won't even say the artist yet, but he is gifted, bro. He is gifted, and he just sent me the verse. So I think I'm about to release it this next week, and I think from this point on, I'm going to be releasing a new song every week to every 2 weeks.
Ooh.
And so I'm encouraged, man. Get ready because I'm just going to keep it going and you know, if I like you said, if I've got 5 followers, amazing, praise God. If I've got 100,000 followers, amazing, praise God.
Yeah.
So, yes,
All right,
sir.
that's dope, man. Listen, this is episode 5. I got bars with Nicholas Underwood, straight out of Spokane. I said it right.
Spokane. Yep.
Spokane,
Yep.
Washington, man. This has been a dope interview, a pleasure, man. With that being said, this is the Martymar Show. Again, y'all, please like and subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. We out.